Welcome back to the channel, as today I am here with the wrap-up of the Squier Bullet Telecaster upgrade series. If you've been following the channel, you'll know that at the beginning of this year I purchased this Squier Bullet Telecaster for $129 as a stupid deal of the day from Musician's Friend. And I have upgraded virtually everything about it. I sat down the other day, went through receipts, price tags on boxes to get an official count. I think I've probably put it up as the thumbnail in this video, but I will go through it piece by piece. The guitar was $129.99, and let me say I'm doing all these prices just in terms of the sale price. This does not include taxes, and this does not include shipping, because I know that can vary a lot. And these are the prices I actually paid. Some of these items were on sale, but none of these were like a special sale just for me. They're the types of things that if you look, you'll be able to find them. So the guitar was $129.99, which I thought was a good value. It definitely had some shortcomings, but for a beginner in particular, this stock would have been a great guitar. Now I'm going to go through each of these upgrades and say a little bit about what I think if they're actually worth what I spent on them. The neck I got on sale from the Fender website. It is a roasted maple neck, soft V shape, $279.99. I think it was $350 originally. That is probably the most, it was definitely an upgrade over the Bullet Telecaster neck. And it would be an upgrade over the Affinity neck. It's different, but not necessarily that much of an upgrade, if any, over the classic vibe Squier neck. More on that later. But do I think it was worth it? Yes. But it was probably not the greatest value increase, just in terms of the money spent on it, as it was by far the single most expensive component. Bridge pickup, DiMarzio Chopper T, $90. Definitely worth it. That's a high quality pickup. I'm really pleased with it. It's still retains a lot of Telecaster character, but it's a little bit fatter, a little higher output. Neck pickup, this is a Shawbucker that I got on sale for some reason, because it's just been sitting in the local music store for a long time, for $63. That is an amazing sounding pickup. That was an absolute steal. It would be a great value at full retail price, which I think is now around $100. Vintage tuning machines, which you would find on this other guitar sitting next to me, I'll get to in a minute. These are American vintage tuning machines. They were $65, a definite upgrade. And like most people, I really like the vintage push in the top split open tuners. String tree 1277 from StewMac. It's a Graphtec. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It just, the neck didn't come with one. And I think that this guitar does need a string tree, in my personal opinion. The jack mount, which I did not get because I wanted to. When I upgraded the electronics, the new input/output jack, depending on how you look at it, wouldn't fit through there. But this is definitely an upgrade. It's not going to get loose and wiggle out. It's actually screwed into the body. So I think that's definitely worth it. Saddles, $74.76. These are string savers. Of course, these had their own dedicated video, as a lot of these components did, with the little Graphtec insert in the middle. That is a bit pricey, but definitely an upgrade. I've had great success using Graphtec saddles in the past on my black Telecaster I've had for over 20 years. I'm pleased with it. I would wish they were a little cheaper, but it is an upgrade, both in terms of tone, and it does take a little bit of time when you change strings for them to break in fully, but it does add a little bit of extra resonance to the tone, in addition to, you know, it's almost, I don't want to say impossible, but you're not going to be breaking strings at the saddle with these. Pick guard. I've had this for over 15 years. It was 25 bucks. I think it looks good. It's as simple as that. And I put a humbucker in where there used to be a single coil. It was a necessity. I needed a new pick guard. And then the Dylan tone wiring. Dylan does an excellent job. I paid for everything, including the plate and the knobs here, because where this was a Squier with the metric size pots and everything, the original control plate knobs weren't going to work. So I think that was like an extra 15 or 20 bucks, something like that. It was definitely worth it. I mean, he uses high quality components. The soldering's amazing. It just looks as more professional than, you know, if you opened up an American Fender. And I'm really happy with it. And of course, these were 500K pots, which is definitely was recommended with this humbucker. And then you can choose between 250K and 500 with this one. I do like the 500K a little bit more. So that brings us to a grand total of $834.53. So the big question is it worth it? I think absolutely. For $834, one, they don't make a stock Telecaster with this exact configuration of components, but that money you're talking, and again, these are days when things are almost always, certain things are almost always on sale. You're looking at Mexican Player Series money. And I think that there's no doubt that this guitar, as it exists now, is better than a stock Player Series guitar. It has better pickups, slightly better wiring. They do have good wiring. Some people complain about, I've heard about fret sprout and things like that. Any Mexican Fender I've played in the last few years, I've had no problems with. This neck is a Mexican-made neck, I should say. And that's another thing. This neck is a soft V roasted maple. I'm not aware of a regular production line Mexican Fender that comes with that. There might be some special editions or like Sweetwater exclusives, but that's a unique feature, and I do really like it. I tend to prefer thinner necks, but this one's really grown on me. It really fits the hand well, very comfortable. Probably the closest oh, and again, I'll mention this now and come back to it in a bit. This is a bullet Telecaster. The Sonic is now beneath it in the Fender range, but it was the cheapest real Telecaster at the time I bought it. The body is slightly thinner than average, and it is not string through, which I don't see either of those as negatives. They're just different. So if those things bother you, we'll get more on that later. But keeping those things in mind, probably the Ritchie Kotzen guitar is the closest thing spec-wise to this. It has the same pickup. It has, I think, I've never played one, but it has a really thick neck from everything I've heard. It has a DiMarzio single coil traditional tele pickup in the neck. It has a flame maple top. It's made in Japan. I think it goes for some weird price, probably because of the exchange rate. But it's like $13.69 or $14.11. It's something like that. So I've never played that guitar, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you whether that guitar is worth the extra money over this very specific guitar I've put together. But I would highly doubt that, at least in terms of specs, that it is $500 to $600 better. I really like that guitar on paper, having never actually played it, but this guitar has a lot of similar features for a lot less money. The other thing I wanted to bring into the picture here was my most expensive stock Telecaster. This is an American original 60s Telecaster Custom. They don't make this exact one anymore. Probably the closest thing is the American Vintage 263, which does not have the double binding. But I got this guitar used in excellent condition. At the end of its life cycle, it would have been $20.49. And of course, I wanted to go through and compare and contrast, just having done pretty much everything you could to this guitar, how it stacks up with this one. And it's overall, it's a pretty pretty favorable comparison when you take into the price factor. This one has a nitro finish. The neck feels amazing. This is one of my very, very, very favorite neck shapes I've ever played, probably in the top 5. The quality and attention to detail on this one's fantastic. This one still has, and again, this one, the Squier is supposed to be Lake Placid blue, but I could tell out of the box it was definitely darker. It's not really useful to do a sound comparison between these two guitars now because this has hotter pickups, this has vintage pickups. But overall, is this a nicer guitar? It absolutely is. Is it a $1,200 nicer guitar? No. But that said, there were many, many hours. I sort of tried to calculate how many hours I put into this one, but it's almost impossible to do because I couldn't remember all the little things I did here and there, times that I started to work on it and something didn't go right and I got frustrated and quit for the day and that type of thing. But to get a guitar exactly the way you want that specific guitar to be, I think that the Squier Telecasters are an excellent platform. If you don't want to, but it's definitely more than 12 hours that I put into this total. And again, I'm not a professional guitar repairman or luthier. I'm an enthusiastic amateur when it comes to those things. And I've put together other parts casters in the past, and there was some experimentation, but you might not want to work on your guitars at all. And that's perfectly fine, of course. If that's the case, buy off the rack what you want. There's a lot of great higher end Fender American guitars, even below this one. I absolutely love the American Professional 2. The Performer, American Performer is a great guitar. The Mexican-made Player Plus and the Player Series is a great guitar too. But in terms of getting something exactly like you want for the lowest price, I think this is an excellent way to go. Now let's get into the next part of the question I was kind of getting at a few minutes ago is, which Squier should you pick to modify? Because, and this is my understanding of the current line here in August of 2023, the Bullet and the Sonic, I think, are going to have this difference of body being thinner top loader. Which again, I have multiple top loaders and love them all. I don't think that's a bad thing. It is very slightly different, but you might be a traditionalist and want a string-through Telecaster. That's the case, and here's the big distinction. If you're looking to put on a different neck, you might want to go with the Affinity. It has, I believe, some more standardized size parts compared to other Telecasters. It is string-through. It has a very similar neck to the Bullet. I've never owned one, but I've played them in the stores before. Debating about actually in times past doing this exact same thing with them. The neck's fine, but not great. It has that very almost unfinished feeling to the back of it. It feels, I don't want to say cheap, inexpensive. So if you're looking to upgrade the neck, the Affinity might be the way to go. And if you want string through and want to upgrade the neck, the Affinity would be the way to go. That would be, and again, you're talking sale prices, specific colors. That would be roughly $140 more than this. So that $834, think about the $975, $1,000 range if you were to do all these exact mods. And of course, there's a realm of different things you could do besides this. If you don't want to upgrade the neck, I to this day think that these Squier Classic Vibe necks are some of the best necks out there. Even going back to the Andertons with the Chappers and the Captain doing the blind test years ago, I think that the biggest secret to the success to the Classic Vibes is the neck shape. I remember a video where Rob Chapman had a hard time distinguishing in a blindfold test between the Classic Vibe neck and the Custom Shop neck. I think those are excellent necks. You can get into things about the frets might be made out of cheaper metal. Let me say this. If you play enough to where you wear out the frets on even an inexpensive guitar in modern times, more power to you, and go get another neck put on it or a refret. But if you want to do less work and spend less after the fact and want a thinner neck, because the classic vibe necks are thinner and they just feel great. I've never played one I've not loved. And they're pretty standardized across the whole Fender line. Get that. Now, how that would affect cost, and that's the other thing too. Well, two things, two important points here. One, when I was younger, it absolutely would have bothered me for the headstock to say Squier, not Fender. I would be lying if I said that didn't bother me at all anymore, but that would not keep me from getting the guitar I wanted. If you're okay with the headstock saying Squier, and you like the thinner necks on the classic vibe, you could actually save money compared to this, maybe by a little bit, doing these exact same mod. No, actually, you could definitely save money, because I was just thinking the price of the neck, not the price of the tuning machines. They also have good tuning machines. They're not as high quality as these, but they are the same style. Another thing, again, not necessarily saying better or worse, but different, the Mexican does not have the split head hole on the top tuners that standard Player Series made in Mexico. That's just something else to keep in mind. There's some reasons why some people prefer the classic vibes over the base Player Series made in Mexico. But the neck on this guitar was, we'll say, $280. So that'd be $65 roughly for the tuning machine. So you're talking $345. There is not a $345 price difference between this guitar stock and a classic vibe stock. So it would actually be cheaper. You would still be saying Squier on the headstock, which again, I could live with in modern times. I admittedly, that bothered me 15 years ago, but not now. In part because of my own maturing and Squier being thought of as a better brand these days. But you could save some time, trouble, and money by getting the classic vibe and just putting the pickups you want in it. I'll also say that if you saw my video where I put twisted tele pickups in my classic vibe baritone, it did have the cheap pots under here, but it had the exact same switch. So there's some of these things you won't have to do if you get the classic vibe. So all that being said, I'm still very happy with this. If you want a lighter weight, like this guitar is extremely light. This one is, I think, in the mid 7.5 pound range. It's been a while since I weighed. It's in the mid 6 pound range. It is extremely light, it still doesn't have any comfort cuts. I think the Affinity does. I think it has the rear comfort cut here. But it's very sleek, very light. If you're looking for that in a guitar, this is also an excellent base to build upon for that reason. So, I'm really happy with this. The only things that are still left on the original guitar is this bridge plate, because it is sort of a not standard size. The neck plate, and again, it doesn't bother me that it's a Squier neck plate. I'm not going to spend $12 or whatever to get a Fender plate. And the body, everything else is upgraded. So in terms of upgrades, this guitar is done. But I have found a way to make the series live on for one more video. On a big sale they were having on Musician's Friend, there's a special edition Telecaster that at the sale price that's currently going on, I ordered. Really, though, it looks like a great guitar specifically to make several videos with, because it also will fit another roll and some comparisons I've been really eager to make. And it has one specific feature I've really been wanting in a guitar for a long time. But anyway, it actually is, in terms of stock, definitely not identical, but a little bit closer to this, both in terms of price and probably sound than pretty much anything else in the sub $1,000 range that actually would have been here today, because UPS always leaves packages for me. Today I got the note on the door, so hopefully I'll get it tomorrow. But I don't want to say what it is. I want to create a little bit of suspense. So I will do a video introducing that guitar in and of itself, then do a video comparing the two because they're extremely similar in price, and just seeing which one I like best. So be on the lookout for that. I hope that this video was informative. Usually I just don't sit here and talk the whole time, but you've heard this guitar in all its various iterations if you watch the videos, and if not, I'll put them below in the description, the mini videos in this upgrade series. But if you have any questions, please leave them below or comments. Please like and subscribe. Be on the lookout for its special competitor coming up soon. For those who have watched every video in this series, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I hope that you've learned some things. I definitely learned a lot. And we'll be back soon with this mysterious new Telecaster. And until then, keep on rocking.